Hey, and welcome to Staff Picks, where we take the Gear Patrol staffers and we force them to tell you products that they use every day. Today, we're talking cameras. Today we have 21 cameras. There are 13 film, 8 digital, 6 medium format, 7 35mm, and the prices vary from $100 to $10,000. If you're interested about any specific camera, we're gonna have them time-stamped in the description below, so jump ahead.
My pick is this Fuji X100F. It is, honestly, I've got like a medium format film camera and a couple of little point and shoots, and this is definitely my favorite out of the bunch. It's technically my girlfriend's, thank you, Bex, but I use it all the time walking around. It's you know, compared to the film cameras and the medium format and the digital cameras like the 5D4, it's just like so much more versatile and easy to use, and it just makes so much more sense in everyday applications. It's like an upgraded iPhone almost. And on top of that, the Fuji colors are really good. And so like, it's a little worn. It's been everywhere with me. I've taken this camera everywhere and shot everything with it, and it's great because you can just put it in your pocket and whip it out and use it like you would an iPhone, but it just takes incredible photos, and it's easy to use. The colors are great. I could spend all day talking about how much I love this camera, but it's really awesome.
So the camera that I brought in is this old Canon AE program film camera. And I had an old Minolta film camera before I got this one. It was kind of just a hunk of plastic that I found in a friend's attic, and it was mostly automatic, and I wanted something with a little bit more control. So I did some research and picked this thing up on eBay for something like 200 bucks. And I got it before going on a heli ski trip to Siberia, which is crazy. But I wanted to be able to take some cool film shots while I was there. And I went on the trip actually having never developed a roll from this camera. So kind of took a risk, shot a bunch of rolls there, and they all turned out really good, in my opinion. But yeah, I've just been using this camera ever since. I've had it for roughly 2 years now. Came with a 50mm 1.8 lens pre-attached to it. I haven't bought any other lenses because I've liked this one so much. Another thing I really like about this camera is that it does have automated setting options. If you want, you can change your aperture or your shutter speed. So you can go fully manual if you want to, or if you just want to mess around with one setting in particular and let the other part go automatic, you can do that. It's just super easy to use, which is why I like it.
So this is my Yashica Mat 124G. They made this camera from the like 70s, 80s. I bought it on eBay from a guy who actually bought it from B&H Photo. It's still got the price tag on there, which I find kind of funny because I bought it for far less than he paid for it. I originally got this camera, I was a photography minor in college and was taking a film course and wanted to shoot medium format. I was blowing up a lot of large prints and wanted kind of like the extra resolution. And it was kind of like the most affordable medium format camera I could get at the time. So twin lens reflex, which is a little bit funky. It takes a little getting used to. It's got the waist level finder, so you kind of like pop the top up and hold it waist level and look down into it. The lens, it actually like refracts out of the top lens and then you shoot out of the bottom lens. So it takes a little getting used to that what you're looking at is actually like not exactly lined up with what's being shot. It has this cool little like magnifier, so you can actually really dial in the focus. You focus just by turning this little knob until you get it just right. The two kind of like wheels here change the shutter speed and aperture. This is the little trigger. It's really actually a pretty simple camera, but the lens quality is really sharp. You crank once you shoot an exposure. The one downside with this camera is that you need to meter from either a handheld light meter or your phone. It actually took mercury batteries, and so they no longer make the battery that you need for this camera. There are a couple guys on Etsy, and I'm sure you can dig through pages of Reddit and find somebody making like a replica mercury battery, but you can get little adapters that plug in with a modern battery. They work okay. I found that it's probably better just to meter off camera. Yeah, I mean that's pretty much the gist of it. It's fun. I've shot everything from stuff in studio to outdoor, like buildings, that type of thing. I shoot a lot of buildings. It's not great for like street photography, just because it's kind of cumbersome to be like looking down, and the focus isn't like super quick. But it's fun. I have a fun time with it. I find myself shooting with it less these days, just because I don't have access to a darkroom anymore, so developing medium format's a little bit expensive. But yeah, no, it's a fun camera.
All right, so as you can see, I have a small army of cameras. If you think I have a problem, you're probably right. And I also want to recognize, before I get into this, I look like a version of George Muncie, and I'll take that. So I'm going to start off with the camera I've had the most out of all these, which is my Sony A7R3. This camera means a lot to me. I used to shoot with an A7R2 at an old job of mine, and I absolutely fell in love with it. And my personal camera was a Canon 70D that I got because I watched Casey Neistat. So I shot with that for 3 years, and for 3 years I saved up to get this guy, and it's honestly just been incredible. I've put this thing through hell and back. I've shot tens of thousands of images on it, if not more. It's you know, it's got 42 megapixels, so I'm able to print a lot of the work that I do, and it's really cool that I'm able to do that. One of my favorite features about this camera is just kind of just how lightweight the body is. Obviously, it's a mirrorless camera, so the problem with that is that I usually have this 24-70 G Master 2.8, which kind of sometimes makes it kind of awkward because it's so top heavy, but still I find it really light. It's easy to kind of just pull and shoot. I've shot everything from street to sports to landscapes on this thing. I've broken the body once and had to get it fully repaired. I've shattered this lens once and had to get it fully repaired. I just find it really fantastic. The only kind of gripes I have about this camera, the first would be that we shoot Canon here at Gear Patrol, and I definitely do believe, I'm one of those people, that the color science for Canon is a little bit better. Even when I'm processing my RAW files, I just find that I get a little bit more out of Canon. But this thing is a workhorse. Honestly, I would recommend it to anybody who's kind of curious about using Sony or switching to Sony. It is fantastic, and I don't think you're ever going to go wrong with it. Kind of moving on to film cameras. I've kind of gotten into film recently in like the past 6 months, like a true millennial. My dad and his best friend, they're big landscape photographers. They shot film, so I was kind of aware of it as I grew up and would mess around with their camera sometimes. And then they transitioned into digital, and I'm doing the reverse now. So the first actually film camera I ever picked up was this Mamiya 645. I'm not sure why I really jumped right into medium format. Got a couple people here in the office that shoot medium format, and I'd messed around with their cameras and kind of perused the interwebs and all the Willem Verbeeks and the Muncies and everybody. So kind of was interested in having a bigger negative. I wasn't sure if I should jump into the 6x6, 6x7. So this camera I've actually shot a lot more like of my family and more intimate moments. When I first got it, I thought it was huge, but now I don't find it too crazy. I have an auto winder on it, which I think is great. It also doubles as like a really good grip, which I like with this camera. Just when you're using it with the traditional shutter, it's sometimes a little bit awkward. So I really like having this, even though it just like adds a ton of unnecessary size. I have the prism finder on it. I kind of like shooting from the eye a lot more than a waist level viewfinder. It also has like the light meter in it, so I don't need to use my Sekonic light meter when I'm using this. Yeah, it's just an all around, it's really good. Really happy with what it is. I was able to trade a lens for it, so yeah, it's fantastic. It's pretty affordable still. You can get one for a couple $100, which I really like. And there's a ton of modularity with any of these Mamiya systems. So yeah, I'm really happy with it, but I did just get the RZ67 because I'm lost in the sauce, and probably gonna be getting rid of this 645 relatively soon. So I actually, full disclosure, I've only shot one roll with this 6.7, and I've only shot one roll with my Minilux. Those are very recent pickups, but I've been extremely happy with the results that I've gotten out of those two rolls, and plan to shoot both of them for years to come. So if you're not familiar with the RZ67, this is the Pro 2 model, which the only difference that this has than the original model is there's kind of a little bit more specific focus wheel that connects to the main one. So this is kind of a little bit more, this focus wheel is not as sensitive as this one, which I really like, because the main reason I picked up this camera is for portraiture. I wanted to do a lot more street portraiture. I have a studio that I've built in my house that I wanted to do more work on. And actually the only roll I've shot so far in this was my father, who came up to New York, and I was able to shoot him in the studio. It's huge. This camera was originally intended to be a studio workhorse, to put it on a tripod. That being said though, I still do find use with it. I don't think it's too crazy. I walked around today in the streets with it. It's obviously not ideal. You're not gonna travel with it, but I still think you get a lot out of it. So I do have a waist level viewfinder for this. I have the AE prism finder. Once again, I like shooting from eye level. I do understand like the waist level, kind of the compositions are going to be interesting sometimes with models or people. They're going to be a little more comfortable because they can look at you versus them looking right into the camera. I have the 110 2.8 on here. I think this lens is just incredible. It's just equivalent to like 50mm focal length. I've been super happy with it. You can read or watch a ton of videos where people talk about this camera a lot more eloquently than I do about just how fantastic this lens is. But I'd say like the main point that I can't stress enough of why I love this camera is the bellows focus system. To be able to get extremely close to my subject is something that I was really interested about, because I wanted to use this camera mostly for portraiture. And obviously when the lens is extended, you're gonna need to factor that into your light readings and add a little bit more light. But it's just a fantastic camera that you're able to, truly leverage in a fantastic way. I'm extremely happy that I picked this lens up. It was kind of a tax return splurge. Just really, really happy with it. And yeah, the modularity again is fantastic. I have an auto winder for it if I'm ever trying to crank out shoots in the future. You can get different backs. You can do the 6.7 back. You can even get a 6.45 or a 6.6 back. So obviously 6.7 is going to give you 10 exposures. 6.6 is going to give you 12. 6.45 I think is either 15 or 16 on this. I just love that modularity, the fact that you're able to do a bunch with this camera. Yeah, it's just great. And lastly, we'll move on to my Leica Minilux. The most ridiculous and unnecessary purchase I've ever made. I was looking for a point and shoot. I kind of saw the interest, or I saw the interest. I kind of developed an interest in wanting to shoot 35mm, just because the 6.45 is just a little too big for the streets in my opinion, and I shoot a ton of street photography with my A7R3. So I did a little bit of research and stumbled upon the Minilux. kind of as a comparable option to like a Contax T2. I know there's a plethora of options that are way more affordable that I probably would recommend over this Minilux that do some of the same things better and for a lot cheaper, but there's just something about picking up a Leica, the namesake, just like, I don't know, it's just ridiculous, but.
Yashica T3.
Yeah, so I actually have only put one roll through this. I had put a roll in prior, but it kind of turned out weird. I actually believe that now it was a film issue and not to do with the camera. So one of the main kind of, I guess, negatives of this camera is deals with uncertainty, and that is, so when you turn the camera on, you can see the lens comes out, and there's a notorious issue called the EO2 error, and what that is there's kind of a cord that connects to the lens, that connects in the body of the camera, and whenever you turn it on and off, that cord is actually a little bit too small, and the more and more kind of pressure you put on it, apparently it will disconnect, and there's one person in the world that can fix that, and it's a guy living in Ukraine. I kind of knew that going in, but I didn't realize how kind of sketchy it could be. I haven't had any problems, and I've actually read that one of the reasons why that issue can occur is that the battery reading on the Minilux might be a little bit off. And so when it might say half full, it might actually be a quarter full or less, which then puts more strain on when it's opening and closing, which might affect that cord. So just to be safe, I change this battery out whenever I see it go into the middle section. It's got a 40 millimeter 2.4. Actually, my kind of favorite focal length is 40 millimeters when I'm shooting in the streets and stuff. I really like it. I found this lens to be absolutely fantastic. I'm super happy with the images. I shoot almost exclusively on Portra for my color. Portra 400 is probably my most used film stock, and very, very happy with this camera and the results that have come out of it. I don't know if it's the best point and shoot to pick up. One of the biggest reasons being it's like a fucking brick. Like, it literally is a little bit too big. If you compared it to like Hunter's GR1 or even Eric's Olympus, it's considerably larger. It doesn't fit comfortably into a pocket. In the winter, it does fit into my coat pocket, which is why I don't think I've kind of minded it. But I would not want to be using this like all the time in the streets. I don't think it's as inconspicuous as another one. But that being said, it is still a fantastic camera. Yeah, I enjoy shooting with it. So yep, that's my strange addiction, and I hope you guys enjoyed it.
So these are my two cameras. I figure I'll go in chronological order here. So this is the Olympus OMD EM10 Mark II. Bit of a mouthful. This is the first serious camera that I ever got, like 3-ish years ago, something like that. I spent some time messing around with a friend's DSLR, and then I decided I wanted to get a camera of my own. So I spent a lot of time figuring out exactly what I wanted, and I ended up with this Micro Four Thirds camera because I decided, sort of the old adage that the best camera is the one you have with you. I wanted to get something that was small enough that it wasn't going to be arduous to carry around, and I figured I probably wasn't going to be like printing poster-sized prints. And so far, the Micro Four Thirds has treated me well. I've got the little kit lens on here. I've also got a 50 millimeter equivalent. Is that what it would be? Yeah, it's 25 millimeter in the weird way the crop ratios work. And I've got a zoom lens. It is a great little camera. It's very customizable. It's got like 3 little function buttons on here that you can program to be basically anything you want. I find it to be lovely. It's very easy to carry around. I've got a tiny little like Amazon Basics tripod that can hold it up perfectly well. Yeah, it suited me great. I use it to do a lot of long exposure stuff. Is my general is the thing that I've been really into recently. yeah, and the lenses are so tiny. It's really fantastic. Very easy to fit in a bag, in a backpack. There is a pancake lens for this that I haven't got yet, but I think I'm gonna buy it because once you have that, you can actually fit this in a coat pocket, which would be awesome. Which sort of brings me to, this is my most recent camera that I bought fairly recently. So I'd never shot film before. I actually caught somebody talking about the Olympus XA2 on Twitter. Somebody posted a picture of it and I just thought it looked amazing. And so I started looking into what it was and film cameras in general. And it was really appealing to me and where I'm at as a film photographer, which is that I don't really know anything. And so this camera makes it super easy. You just put the film in there, it's a point and shoot. It's got zone focusing, which takes a little bit of getting used to. But it's a very simple package except for the zone focusing, which is a little unintuitive, but that made it a great place for me to like start practicing and messing around and sort of broadening my horizons when it comes to like my photography. Like I said, I shoot a lot of long exposures with this one. That's not something you can really use this point and shoot for, so it's made me broaden my horizons. I just love how small it is. The fact that there is the dust cover makes it so easy to just throw it in a pocket, pants pocket, coat pocket, fits in my back pocket. I also really love how it's taken me a little bit to figure out, but you can operate it pretty effectively one-handed. You can just sort of like slide the dust cover open and then hold it one-handed like this, and the zone focus is on the right side. So as long as you remember up to make the focal length more distant, down to make it closer. So it makes it very easy to just sort of pull it out of my pocket and snap off a picture really quick. It's got a very quiet shutter, so it's also like very subtle. I've only shot a few rolls with it so far, all black and white. I've got a roll of color Kodak in here, but it has been an absolute blast. I found it on eBay. You can find a used one for like around 60 bucks. It's been a great little toy and I have been loving it.
This is the Canon EOS Rebel T5i, and I've had it for probably like 3 or 4 years now. And I can tell you 2 major things that I love about this camera. Number one is you basically don't even really have to be able to read to use it. I am definitely very much in the amateur photography category, and you've basically got all these great little icons on the dial, and you can pretty much select between motion, portrait, nature, all kinds of stuff, and get exactly the kind of shots you want. I'm definitely what I would call a volume shooter, so I just take as many pictures as I can, and usually 1 out of 100 is pretty good. The second thing that I love about this camera is that it just looks really sharp, and I feel like when I show up with this thing, it's like just impressive enough that it can like open some doors if I want to get access to take some photos. So I find that to be really handy. It's pretty light, 18 megapixels. I am not an expert on technical specs at all, but it's a great camera. It takes a lot of I've taken a lot of cool pics with it and I love it.
Okay, yeah, so my camera is a Leica M10 with a 35 f2 Summicron. Had it for about a year. It's. You don't have to start. You don't have to start. I'm just dive in. Don't worry about it, baby. I'm getting there. And so it's a rangefinder camera. It's a full frame digital camera. I always get this wrong. 24 megapixels? 24. Let's say 24. If it's wrong, just like roast me in the comments or something. It's manual focus, but otherwise kind of has all the general accoutrement of a modern digital camera. I say that remembering that it doesn't have video. It doesn't have a lot of things actually, but it's a great way to kind of slow down your photography and really experience like the lens design that Leica is famous for. This 35 f2 is like unreal and tiny compared to basically everything else. And otherwise, the rangefinder focusing mechanism, takes a little bit of getting used to. It's weird to look through an aperture that isn't the lens. A lot of times I've left the lens cap on and shot with it, which doesn't work nearly as well as you'd expect. but it takes some getting used to, but eventually you kind of find the groove, and the like satisfaction of hitting focus on that is really awesome. And you know, to see people who have used it for a long time and gotten really good at it makes me feel like a total idiot, which, you know, modern digital cameras do everything they can to not make you feel like a total idiot. So it's fun sometimes to be called out on it. That's kind of in comparison to what we do use at the office, which is all Canon gear. So we use generally 5D Mark IVs, couple 1DXs, well, one 1DX, and almost all the time, the 100mm macro lens, which has just been like the absolute workhorse. We got our first one 5 years ago, and we've got like 4 of them since. We use them for everything, for video and for photo. And just about every product shot you see on the site was taken with one. So, you know, this is kind of the dual setups that I, as a photo editor, kind of deal with every day. And so they kind of complement each other nicely. You know, you've got like the simple, deliberate vacation from something that does everything and maybe doesn't excite.
So, I guess we'll start with the smallest one. This is my Ricoh GR1S. It is a Japanese camera from the late 90s. Arguably the smallest point-and-shoot 35mm camera there is. Like, look at that. Look at the size of this, and then look at the size of my wallet. It's like just barely bigger, and this thing can hold, you know, a roll of film, which is insane. It has a 28mm lens, f2.8, stops down to f22, has aperture priority. You can do exposure comp on the top dial, so +2, +1, -1, -2. Has a built-in flash, which for this size is incredible. And honestly, I'm afraid it's going to break every single time I turn it on, so we'll see. We'll see how long I hold on to this, but I specifically bought it for a bike ride to Vermont. I just needed something with a fast lens, good autofocus, and something small that I could have like right next to my handlebars, and this is why I bought it. And then one thing I've done so far is the light seals were, you know, 25 years old, so I bought this laser cut piece of rubber off eBay and put a new light seal in it for like $5. Okay. Next camera. This is my Voigtlander R2M, which is a Leica M mount rangefinder made by a Japanese company called, what is it, Cosina? Cosina bought the rights to Voigtlander in the early 2000s, I believe, and came out with the Bessa series. So this is the R2M, which is the second generation of the Bessa with a mechanical shutter. So if the batteries die in this, I can still shoot. All it does is meter. So it's really nice because it'll never break, or if it does, it's mechanical, so it'll be able to be repaired. And what do we have? I have a Voigtlander Nocton Classic 41.4 in the front, and this is the multi-coated version, so you know, it's pretty good. It's for like a $300 lens, but it has this focus knob right here, so it's really easy to throw focus, like infinity, close up, get really precise with it. And no, it's really tiny, you know, it's a 40mm 1.4, and it's like the same size as the camera almost. So it's really compact. Yeah, and then I have this grip for it because without it, you know, my finger would like slip off really easily. And it just looks cool. And yeah, what do I got? I actually have the wrong frame lines for this lens, but you know, I just guesstimate on top. Usually there are frame lines that you can adjust, so 75mm, 35 to 90mm, and then 50. But since I have a 40, I keep it on 35 and 90, so you know, kind of guesstimate. And yeah, what's nice about this is the shutter speed goes up to 1/2000th, whereas like the Leica M6 or M7 only goes to 1/1000th, I believe. So get a little bit more shutter speed out of this one. Yeah, it's a good camera. I like it, but it's no Leica, so still wanting an M6, but for now it'll do. And then this this behemoth is my Pentax 6.7. I got it from a friend who to this day still regrets selling it to me for so cheap, seeing as these things are getting close to 1,000, maybe more, for a good 6.7. Especially the mirror lockup version, which this is. It's right here. This is the mirror lockup button. It's good for long exposures. So what is mirror lockup? When you're shooting, normally, you know, the mirror has to go down and then back up, and that can shake the camera. So with mirror lockup, you set your focus, you press the button, the mirror flips up. I believe it flips up. So then when you take the photo, there's no travel. It just takes the photo and that's it. So there's a lot less shake. I think I'm explaining that correctly. Yep, so this is a 6.7. It has a custom grip. I have no idea where it came from, but you know, without it, this thing's awfully hard to hold, because it's just like a big heavy camera with barely any grip. But with this, you know, I can one-hand it. It has a metered prism, which is actually not functioning right now. I need to get it repaired. These things are notorious for breaking. There's like a chain inside that can easily fall off. You gotta like take the metered prism off after you take off the lens. Yeah. What lens? We got a 105 2.4 on here, which is arguably the best Pentax portrait lens there is. It's really shallow depth of field, really sharp, really easy to focus because get a split prism inside, so you know you can be really precise, shoot wide open and be tack sharp. That's about it. Yeah, this thing, this is my favorite camera. And it has the most badass shutter sound there is. Let's see. Oh, I'm on a film, so maybe I'll load it. So, unlike many medium format cameras, this is an SLR, so you load it just like your normal SLR. So I think I'll put, I got Portra 800 here and Portra 160. I think I'll load Portra 160 in it. Shooting medium format film is quite wasteful because you gotta take off all this stuff before you can actually load it. Just a moment. Okay, so when you shoot medium format film, you have spools rather than canisters. So when you load this, you have to take the spool from the roll you just shot, transfer it over to the other side of the camera, get it in there, and then take your new one, put it on the other side of the camera, get it in there, and then peel it, put it into the spool, press down on it just a little bit to get it winding, and then once it's in this spool, you line up the arrows with this section that says 120, close the back, and then wind until it's tight. Yeah, now it's at 0, so it's ready to shoot. And what's nice about this camera is it has a shutter lock. It's like a safety on a rifle. So it's engaged. I can't shoot, which is good because if you accidentally shoot this, you only have 10 shots per roll since they're 6x7 negatives. So, you know, if you accidentally fire, then you're down 1 shot and then you only have 9 left. So it's a good feature. And yeah, I'll show you how it sounds. So I'm gonna waste a frame here, but I think it's worth it. Just don't talk to me. Oh. Okay, here's the shutter. Really crispy, really heavy. Probably the worst camera for street photography because it sounds like you're firing off a weapon and people will see what you're doing. But yeah, it's a great camera. The negatives are huge. Actually, I can show you the effective. So, you know, that's the size of the mirror, which is pretty massive if you compare this to like a crop sensor camera, like a Canon T3 or something, you know. Yeah, this is old school medium format, and it's the best format there is.
So this is a Kiev 88. For anybody who's never seen one or heard of one before, it's basically medium format Hasselblad ripoff. I think they're mainly made in the 80s, 70s, 80s. They're pretty much the exact same design as a Hasselblad, but cheaper and and not quite as nice, which is actually kind of why I like it. It's heavy duty, it's kind of funky, it's got its own character. Some of the settings don't quite work, but it definitely produces images that are unique and interesting. Some other things I like about it, it's completely analog. There's no light meter in here. There's no digital settings of any kind. It's a film camera, obviously. We've got the film backs. I have 2. I usually keep them loaded, you know, two rolls of film, 1 in each back, and I can switch out quickly. But everything in here is sort of meant to be taken apart, meant to be fixed, if you can find the parts for it. And it's got a great sort of sensibility to it. Let me give you a shutter here. Let's see if there's, yeah. So this thing, it just sounds analog. You know, it's great. I love that. The other thing I really enjoy about the camera is that I shoot this from the hip. You can actually get a viewfinder where you can hold it up to your face, but I like shooting on the streets in New York. I got this camera, I don't know, probably 7 years ago, right before I moved to the city. And the way I typically use it is put it around the neck and I shoot it from the hip here. The nice thing about that is people aren't confronted by the camera. When you're holding it up to your face, people see it, they respond, they move away or they react to the camera. When you're shooting from your hip, most people don't even see it. And so you can hold it down here. You've got a viewfinding panel on the top of the camera, and then you've got a little magnifying glass so you can get your focus just right. And I can get a lot of great shots right from the hip. Nobody even knows that I'm shooting them. It is a little difficult to use. You have to sort of dial all the settings in and get it right. Like I said, there's no light meter, so I use my phone for that. Hit or miss, depending on the day. I shoot Ilford 400 black and white film. I like Ilford, it tends to work well with this camera, and 400 seems to be about right for all the settings. I shoot on a fixed length 80mm lens. That's just what came with the camera. It was actually a gift to me from my brother-in-law, who found it in a storage locker in Boston and didn't know what to do with it. Knew I was into photography, knew I was into cameras, and said, would you like to give it a go? And I probably put a couple hundred rolls of film through it since I've been in New York. And some of the photos are good and most of them are trash, but that's what you get. Yeah, that's the story, the Kiev 88. What else?
Yeah, so this is my Nikon EM. Nikon EM was just basically, it stands for economy model. From the late 70s, early 80s. There's not a ton to it, but the story behind it is it was actually my dad's. He had bought it for a photojournalism class in college, and it just kind of sat around. And in 7th grade, I had the opportunity to take a film course, you know, just as a general elective in class. And he kind of unearthed it, bequeathed it to me, and it's been mine ever since, and I've been shooting with it. It's got just a basic 50mm on it, and it has these light leaks, so the seals on both sides of the case are not very well sealed, which means I get a lot of light leaks, but over the years, working with this camera for so long, it's really allowed me to kind of fine-tune that and really take advantage of a lot of different lighting situations. So I have that 50mm on there. I've also bought a 36-72mm zoom lens, another Nikon E series. Very basic lens, but it kind of gives me the ability to shoot a lot of different styles with that zoom lens feature. So I can go macro with it, I can go wide angle, I can go telephoto if I need to, and that's really good to have like when I'm traveling, just kind of shooting whatever. So yeah, I've kind of shot on this, and it's kind of my trusty go-to camera when I really want something I know what I'm going to be able to do with it, and I'll take this guy out and tend to shoot a lot of black and white with it. Ilford is one of my go-tos with that, just because those light leaks tend to really work well with all that.
So this is a Canon 6D. I think it's the original version, and I actually originally got it when I was dabbling in real estate photography. I started doing that, and that was the camera they gave me, and I ended up liking using it so much that I bought it from the company just so I could use it personally. So my wife and I were sharing it. We were shooting a lot of portraits and photos, and she was using it for shooting some weddings. And really, I just use it for shooting anything that I want, which a lot of the time is landscape, a lot of the time is portraits, a lot of the time is just stuff I see on the street. We have a 24-70mm lens on there, which I love. It's got enough of a zoom to where you can zoom in enough if you need to. But yeah, the photo quality is great. Images always come out really crisp. And another feature that I really love about it is the Wi-Fi capability. I'm always on the go, and it's nice to just be able to download the photos that I take right onto my phone and look at them there.
This is my Canon 70D. I got it for watch reviews mostly, but I have learned to love it for many other reasons. I use this pancake lens on it. It's a 24mm. I know it's not, I know the Canon 70D isn't a cool watch. It's a, I know the Canon 70D isn't a cool camera like these vintage film cameras and whatnot, but it's a very solid DSLR. I like this little flip thing that it's got. That works well. It's good for video, although I don't use it for that too much. I love the pancake lens, 24mm right here. I take it traveling everywhere. It's a crop sensor, but I think that just forces you to adapt in some ways, and it's made me a better photographer for having to use lower ISO than maybe a higher end camera would, and for adapting to those minor limitations. Otherwise, it's a fantastic camera.
These are my 3 favorite cameras. These are the cameras that I use most. I'd say the one that I use the absolute most is definitely the Fuji X-T3. I do video and I do photo, and I mostly take photos of my family and friends. This easily has the most photos that I've ever taken. Also does great video, 4K 60, great 1080, slow-mo, 120. I have a 16-55 f2.8 lens on here that's roughly, I had the 5D3, the Canon 5D3 for a while, and I had the 24-70 f2.8. But this is the lens I use most. This is what I walk around with. I also have a 35 f2 that's really tiny that I take if I'm just like going out to a dinner or something and I'm trying to keep it low profile. This thing is pretty massive, easily bigger than the camera, and the 35 is only like, it's a tiny little baby thing. But this is an APS-C sensor, so a little smaller than a full frame, which is why I love the Yashica T3. This is digital. This guy is film, so it takes 35mm film, and I mostly shoot Portra 400 Kodak. The T3 specifically has some really cool features and why I love it. It's got a Zeiss 35mm f2.8 lens, which really renders some beautiful depth of field. It's fully automatic, so you can't control like aperture priority, you can't like select f2.8, but I think it basically chooses f2.8 for you in any given light, unless you're like fully blown out in the middle of the day. And with Portra 400, I mean, the photos that I take are, I'd say, better than these. I love it. It's super small, packable. It's really ergonomic, and it has kind of a really great retro vibe to it. It's kind of chunky, definitely not sleek, definitely not modern looking. Like people, I get questions about it basically everywhere. It's got a cute little feature where if you open it up, it's got a little Pac-Man. That's it. And some annoying bits is that every time you take a picture, if you don't want the flash on, you have to do that every single picture. It doesn't just like stay off. And this, you have to close entirely. Sometimes like it'll open up and you'll accidentally take a photo. It doesn't happen often. And it requires a really steady hand. I like it for street photography because it also has this cool little periscope, NA scope. Don't know what the NA stands for, but you can look down and take photos. It's still not that inconspicuous. Like people can tell you're taking a photo of them, but it's a cool feature and I use it really often, especially because like I have two little kids, so two girls that run around and they're like waist level, and that's how I usually take photos of them. It's inverted, so you know, keep that in mind. And then this I got because I always wanted a twin reflex camera. I love the way it looks, and I love medium format. I'd never had a medium format camera. This is a 6x6 camera. It is beefy. This thing is heavy. It's way bigger than Rolleiflex, or even, I think AJ has the Yashica somewhere. It's huge. I like this one specifically. It's less expensive, and you know, awesome. I like this one because it's an actual interchangeable lens. Like even the Rollie isn't an interchangeable lens, which makes it probably a little beefier. But I have the 80 f2.8 on here, and I got it for really cheap, and it acts up. You know, it's an old camera. It's a really old camera. So like, while they're great, you have to remember, just like an old car, like there's gonna be problems, and I'll take a photo right now. And you'll see that like you'll see that at the shutter takes a second. Like it doesn't just shoot, so, you know. And this doesn't have a light meter. So I gotta do it with my phone, hold please. I use my Light Meter Pro, and I do something of the, so I select my aperture at f2.8. I've got ISO 400 in here, and I think I can get away with a 30 shutter speed. At f2.8. Also, so this is actually really good still in daylight. You can flip it up for a little eye loop, which is fantastic. Honestly, it's really great. The image that you see straight out of here is really nice, and you're gonna see a beautiful photo of Brendan. Actually, I'm gonna leave it on the table because I don't have the steadiest hand. Yeah. That's the other thing, it's not fast. So you hear it like click and then the shutter goes off. So it's like, it's quirky. It's definitely quirky. I mean, it's a 70, 80-year-old camera, you know, much older than I am. A little bit older than I am. It takes 120 film. It takes about 12 photos per roll. So developing film is pretty pricey. One thing I forgot to say about the Yashica T3 is that the reason I went with this, like there's a lot of amazing, like I feel like the point and shoot revolution is happening right now. There's the Pentax T2, and Brendan has the Leica Minilux. I went with this guy because it's on the cheaper end, but it still has an f2.8 and it's autofocus. So like, I love this camera. It's very large, takes really great pictures. I wanted something that could fit in my pocket, and I wanted something full frame again, and f2.8. And this is kind of all. This is probably the camera I use the most. I love the photos that comes out of it. The colors on portrait are amazing, even in black and white, they're great. So this is probably my go-to, and this is usually, if I'm like traveling, this is usually in my pocket. But that kind of runs the gamut of all the different cameras I use. I have my digital one it's really my workhorse if I need a backup camera for video or just a lot of stills for a weekend trip with the family. This is kind of always with me, it's always in my pocket. And this I like make an effort to like once a month take it out and really compose, really think about taking a photo. I mean, I think it's like $5 a roll. You know, by the time you get it developed, it's like $1 or $2 a photo. So you really think about the photos that you're taking. So this is more like a beautiful exercise. This is a really good go-to, and this is just my workhorse. And those are my cameras. I hope you liked our camera staff picks. Let us know in the comments which one you may like best. And if you like this video, check out our other videos. Like and subscribe.